From the script for Us by Jordan Peele. Adelaide walks down the stairs and onto the beach where a few teenagers act wild by a small campfire. Adelaide passes by the teenagers as she walks toward the water's edge. Moments later, she approaches the shoreline and scans the dark horizon. In the distance, a large cloud erupts in silent lightning. After a breath, she turns back toward the boardwalk. One attraction faces her on the beach level underneath the boardwalk. It's called Shaman's Vision Quest, a Native American mystical-themed funhouse with an entrance that faces the water. The facade is painted to resemble a forest with colorful images of spirit animals and a large shaman who glares, pointing his finger directly at Adelaide. Signs near the arched doorway read, "Get Lost," and "Find Yourself." Adelaide walks toward the Vision Quest portal. She drops the candied apple, which falls onto the sand. As Adelaide gets near the entrance, a thup or two of thick raindrops hit the sand. The crowd over at the boardwalk murmur. Adelaide enters just as the rain hits full on. Adelaide enters the Vision Quest and goes down a hallway made to feel like a magical walk through a dark forest. The walls are dressed and painted like woods, with the occasional eerily pleasant deer, rabbits, and eagles. A cacophonous recording of nature sounds plays over hidden speakers. A cast plastic owl on a branch pounces out from a dark crevice, startling Adelaide with a hoo-hoo. The owl emits a hiss of pressurized air and returns to its starting point. Adelaide calms herself and continues into the maze. Adelaide enters a room that's still forest theme, but also covered in mirrors. She walks past several distorted reflections, a short one, a weird one, and a weirder one. With a rumble of lightning, the lights go out, and the forest noise stops. What was kind of eerie when lit becomes downright terrifying when dark. The only light comes from the glowing red exit sign. She walks toward it, but hits a mirror. She looks up. The exit sign appears forward and backward over and over again in infinite reflections. Adelaide reaches her hands out and tries to make her way down the mirrored hall. She begins whistling Itsy Bitsy Spider again to make her feel at ease, but she stops in near panic when a whistle from the halls overtakes hers. Somebody, somewhere in the mirrored labyrinth, is whistling in an attempt to emulate her tune. Something her size scurries quickly across the hallway. Adelaide backs up almost against a mirror. She slowly begins to turn 180 degrees to face the mirror behind her, but her reflection doesn't turn. This is Gothic. What's everybody been up to?
I have been geocaching.
Oh, nice.
Yes, that's been fun. And
that's awesome.
And floating the river tomorrow. So fun.
Oh, dope.
Mm-hmm.
That's so cool.
Have you found any good stuff?
Yeah, actually, it's been kind of cool. Well, I was introducing some kids to it today, and they've taken to it as a kind of like crazy wild treasure hunt, and they're like, I can't believe all these people are in on this.
That's what it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's basically what geocaching is.
So we found everything we were looking for today, cleared out one of my favorite parks, and and we got all weird little things here and there. They brought a bunch of stuff. So they're like, oh, I want to put this in there and take something back out, and it was a good time. Other than my legs absolutely like feeling dead right now because the hills we had to climb were monstrous. So
you said that part about it being an actual treasure hunt, and so for the Orcs game that I ran as my audition for a local game improv theater kind of thing.
Improv theater, yeah.
I
love Orcs.
Yeah, so Orcs puts on D&D games, 5th edition D&D games, at a local game bar called Game Night Lounge. among other places, and you get a catered meal with it, and you play some D&D for the evening for a reasonable low cost. And so I auditioned for that, and I will probably be doing that here once we can be social and public again. Yeah. But in that game, there was one of the NPCs that they were talking to. They'd been told that she was a treasure hunter and an explorer. And so they're over there talking to her, and it turns out that she thinks of what they're doing as tomb raiding and desecration. What she does is her group goes out and plants these treasures, and then the others go out and try to follow clues to find them.
So they're reverse treasure hunting.
They are indeed geocachers.
That's amazing.
Geocachers. Yep, that's what that is.
Oh, that's so cool.
So I hear your computer blew up, Sharon.
Yeah, my computer blew up. Actually, it's my husband's computer, which he built from scratch. And I've watched this thing evolve over the years. And he finally got it into a water-cooled system, which he's been lusting after for several years. And so these events may or may not be connected, but the other night he spilt wine on his keyboard. And theoretically, using a keyboard that's been ruined by liquid shouldn't cause your power source to explode, but something clearly exploded because there was a loud pop and a nasty, nasty plastic burning smell. And so we think the motherboard might be shot and at least one of the RAM sticks. We have not been able to test the CPU or the GPU or anything else because we don't have that many spare computer parts lying around. But yeah, so hopefully it's just the motherboard because that's one of the parts that's still under warranty. So because it's less than a year old. So we're, hoping that it's just that. But really all that we can tell right now is that the power source fan turns on and nothing else does. So ouch. It was very dramatic, and it's really, really sad because he spent so much time putting this thing together, and I'm like, no, babe. Oh.
And also, you're back to recording on your iPhone.
It's an Android. Excuse me.
Oh yeah, sorry.
No, it's my phone, but that's okay. The app, I think it's the one that Nathan is still using, and so it's not super awful. It's a pretty decent recording app, and I'm using my headset with it, so it should be okay.
Yeah, Nathan's problem is just that he's in a big empty room because he just moved.
Echo.
Yeah.
Sometimes I can still hear his echo.
Yeah. And Jesse, I saw that you had a show here this last weekend, right? Weren't you in that?
I was not in that one. That was with Torch Song Theater Company. They did a Harry Potter parody, kind of cabaret style kind of thing, like social distancing and everything. So it was perfect. But I do have one coming up in August, and it's a Star Wars parody.
Oh, cool.
Cabaret.
Cool.
That's
so
amazing.
Yeah, I've got some fun stuff to do in that one, so that'll be a lot of fun.
All right, well, that catches us up there. And now to catch up with our characters a little bit. This is going to be back still in the contemporary now. LJ and Dr. Grace are in Dr. Grace's rented rooms above the theater there in Macon, Missouri. It's a place. And Dr. Grace just built some sort of alarm trap system using weird science around the room.
Yeah, I just remembered what it was. I did the supernatural salt line across the door, but included some, I think, magnesium powder.
Yeah, Dr. Grace has a really hard time embracing her mad scientist aspect rather than just going pure on cultist.
Listen, magic is only physics that we don't understand yet.
I love it.
Dr. Grace then went to sleep while LJ continued browsing through
the files and
Haven's files looking for other clues. Meanwhile, not far away in an alley with the bed of the truck down and...
Are we going to relive this whole thing again?
God damn it. God damn it.
No.
And Jacob Candle's old partner... crawling up towards him, jaws distended, talon fingers extended from fingertips. And worst of all, crushed beer dribbling out onto the ground.
Oh my goodness.
Not to mention, I'm pretty sure Jacob was cleaning his guns, so all his guns are in pieces on the back
that's
of his
right,
truck.
yeah. Had all of the guns laid out and was cleaning them.
Oh yeah, he was backed up into an alley.
Yeah, I'm in an alley with this dude. So I'll have you guys know that I've been doing a lot of VR as of late. So this mental image is even more horrifying to me right now because I've gotten to experience some of this stuff. I know what this was coming. I was like, good God.
Oh no. So thanks for that mental image.
That's where we're going to pick up, is immediately back in the bed of Jacob's truck in all of its orangey red glory, rust spots and all.
I'm ready.
With bits and pieces of gun laying around as his old partner comes to eat his face. Or whatever.
Oh, Lord.
Maybe it's just to lick you like a puppy.
Oh, God, that would be worse.
Give me some tongue.
In any case, Jacob,
okay.
What do you do?
What do? I draw out my brass knuckles from my belt buckle.
And scream like a...
No, actually...
No, that'd be me. That's me you're thinking of.
I gotta read a bad situation or something.
Well, what is it you're doing? And I will tell you what you're doing.
Obviously, I'm gonna be scrambling backwards, trying to put some distance between me and Fangface. And while I'm doing that, I'm reaching down to my belt buckle, taking off my brass knuckles, kind of getting ready to try to defend myself in the back of this bed of this truck. I'm going to try to keep the high ground if I can. Not completely concerned to run just yet. I kind of want to take a moment and consider my options.
Okay. Well, why don't you roll read a bad situation.
Read a bad situation.
I was going to say, he literally said read a bad situation.
Act under pressure was what got me here. Okay. It's my sharp. Here we go. That's an 8.
First roll of the night.
Oh, God. Okay.
One question.
Is
why a question? Why?
Oh, man, so there's one here that I like, but I'm not going to ask it. Oh,
what is it you want to ask, and why don't you want to ask it?
So I was like, what's most vulnerable to me? But it doesn't tell me. There's only one thing, so whether it's vulnerable or not is right there.
Not necessarily. That question can be interpreted as, so on this creature, what is most vulnerable to attack.
Okay. Yeah, and I just read, if you act on the answers, you get a +1 ongoing while the information is relevant. I didn't realize that.
Heaven knows you need that.
Yeah.
Yes.
We haven't really used that much.
I've never noticed it before. I just casually overlooked it.
What do you mean? I, of course, have reminded you every time.
We never read a bad situation, though. We always act under pressure.
All right, so that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to try to figure out what's most vulnerable to me. I'm sizing this thingamajigger up. Old Fangface. Old Kraus with his licky tongue.
Okay, so I need to know something. How much do you associate this being right here with what happened to you earlier this morning in the police station?
Oh, how much do I associate?
That's a good question.
What you mean when I went and tickled old boy's spine with my fingers?
That's the one. Because this guy, this being moving toward you, looks to have that. It's changing as it comes toward you too. Like you already know, its jaw is extending. Its hands are getting larger and more taloned. But it's also taking on kind of a, I don't want to say spongier aspect, but a spongier aspect.
No, I got you. As in the sense that its body caved in on me the last time I tried to apply any kind of physical force to it.
Right. And so I'm wondering if you were making any connections there, if you think that Jacob would be doing so.
Yeah, I can see that.
Jacob, I forget, what were your experiences, your personal experiences with the doppelgangers in Texas?
So the doppelgangers slowly infiltrated the community, primarily starting with the police department, replacing people.
Right, but what was your personal experience with them?
It mainly had to do with, actually, the guy right in front, well, the thing right in front of me. Ron Kraus picked up that all this was going on, that all these boogeymen were out there, and I completely was in denial about it. I didn't believe him whatsoever. In fact, I didn't believe him until the day that Ron shows up, and I realize it's not Ron. I tried to act on that information, but before I could really dig into it, I was put into the hospital through machinations of these creatures.
How did you determine it wasn't Ron?
Mannerisms. It was like the thing couldn't reflect his wit, his charms, the little things that make him. It had knowledge of him, but it didn't know how to exactly act like him. The uncanny valley, where something tries to be human, like a doll or something, but because it's trying so close to be human, you can tell all the more that it's not human, and it freaks you out. That's essentially how it was. It was like just little mannerisms, little ticks, little things like that.
Okay. All right. So not having had any personal combat with with them before, for a moment you aren't sure, but connections start clicking, and that softness that you experienced when you crushed Deputy Beeler's chest earlier this morning trying to give him CPR, you see that in this creature as it is changing shape. As it's shifting from one thing to another. And what it's shifting to here as it comes closer and closer to you is you.
I knew it.
Oh!
All right.
But here's the thing. So the connections you made there all click into place, and you think that the thing that's most vulnerable on this creature right this second is that jaw. That if you get a hold of upper and lower jaw, you could just maybe, because of all that softness as it's finishing changing shape, that you could maybe just rip it apart.
Ooh, I like the idea of me grabbing my doppelganger's head, who looks like me, and ripping its face open.
Yeah, right now it looks like a cross between you, Ron, and some
Venom
creature from and Venom. Yeah.
Okay, I'm ready. I need no more. I attack. My flight or fight bent towards one direction.
All right, so you pressed yourself up against the cab of the truck, scattering gun parts with your feet as you scrabbled backwards. You see this thing turning into you, and if I recall correctly, one of your playbook moves is that you get a bonus when acting against your hated enemy.
I do.
Oh.
I do. I know my prey.
And this is quite obviously a doppelganger.
Okay. Well, in that case, I know my prey says I get a +1 ongoing when you are knowingly investigating, pursuing, or fighting the type of monster that caused your loss.
And you get a +1 ongoing as long as you're headed for the jaw while it's changing shape. So you have a +2 right now.
Okay, so is this kicking some ass then, or?
It seems to me like you are diving in there and about to try to kick some ass.
All right, let's do this. I'm excited.
Do it.
All right, so both those bonuses stack, huh? Neat. That is a 11.
Yes.
Way to rip those jaws.
Is it weird that I'm picturing the texture of sourdough starter, gritty, slimy,
yes,
stretchy?
I guess in that case, I'm going all in on it. I think I want to inflict terrible harm.
Okay, you will be doing. What is your we can probably figure your natural attack is 1. But because this is your know your enemy, and you have all those bonuses going on, I'm going to give you another +1 harm here, in addition to the +1 that you're taking from your 10+, for a total here of 3 harm.
Yeah!
There's something cracks inside of you as you're pressing yourself up against the cab in fear, and you just roar and then get your feet under you and leap toward the thing, and you grab its jaws, and both of you go tumbling out of the bed of the truck in a big shower of beer cans and gun parts, and you hit the ground, and you hear part of its weird loose cartilage cracking underneath you as you land on it, and you pull on its jaws, and they begin to crack and tear, but it also jams its talon right into your side for 2 harm.
I have 2 armor.
Oh,
Dude!
and it hits on the
Yes!
what is that, Kevlar?
It's Kevlar and plates, combination of both.
So it hits on those and just rips through the cloth. It just tears it like paper, but doesn't get through the armor itself to hit you. What do you do?
I'm going to look it. I guess I still got to hold it. I'm going to tell it, you're going to die, freak, and I want to rip its jaw off, and I want to start beating it.
With a thrown jaw.
Okay.
Holy shit!
Go ahead and roll kick some ass again.
Okay.
Oh my god!
That is another 11.
Yeah!
Terrible harm.
Hell yeah!
There's these terrible series of pops and cracks, and then just a tearing sound of gristle and muscle just shredding underneath your attack as you pull and push on its upper jaw and its lower, and you split your own head in half. And this green goo just starts kind of pouring out of the neck sockety hole that you've left behind.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
For our listeners at home, this episode may have some amount of gore.
Gore.
You need so much therapy.
Jacob Campbell is not okay.
We may never get him back. I don't think he's going to recover from this.
Now I get you, dude. Now I get you. I'm sorry.
Holy moly.
Oh,
man.
oh.
Jacob, what do you do once you have... The thing is now just flopped there on the ground. It spasms occasionally, but does not otherwise move. A ridiculously long tongue is lulled out of its head cavity.
Yes.
And sort of flopped across the asphalt and gravel at the end of this alley.
I'm gonna let my fear give way to rage and give it a chance to get back at something. And the fact that it copied my old partner. I'm just going to just pound this thing with my brass knuckles until it stops twitching. And whatever's left of it, that's years worth of anger right there.
We're going to leave Jacob Candle pulping the remnants of this, what he supposes to be a doppelganger. And we're going to go back to the apartment over the theater where Dr. Grace is napping and LJ is still scrolling through Haven's notes on Dr. Grace's computer. So what's happening there?
I think it's a lot of investigate a mystery.
Last time you were looking for something on the hospital itself.
The hospital, anything about Haven, names of people similar to the files from the 50s. Yeah, and the deaths at the hospital. But I'm also looking for, because I remember about the para-enhanced abilities note that I saw back in the 50s. So I'm also keeping an eye out for that.
Okay. Go ahead and roll Investigate a Mystery.
Oh, do I have to? Sharp is not my best, but I still have an 8.
You see, already you know that Haven didn't make a huge connection between those names of the patients that you saw back in the 50s and that she had noted in her notes. However, separate from those, this is actually just a picture of a page of handwritten notes, so it's easy to kind of miss it, but something about it, the word blood caught your eye, and you see that it says, "The blood of psychics, ? Ritual, ? Power, ? At the bottom.
So Haven's me, basically. Just putting a bunch of question marks everywhere.
You, Sharon, or you, Dr. Grace?
No, me, Sharon. I'm just so clueless all the time.
LJ, that is pretty much what you find. There's a lot of other notes on weird happenings, especially around Macon. I mean, she did come here to do a fluff piece as well, so she actually has some notes in there about a ghostly figure being spotted on the road headed west toward Kansas City, and she's got a couple of notes on a rain of frogs that happened back in the 60s. There's some stuff about various poltergeist activity around town. There's some things about a day where supposedly everybody in town lost their memory, but no one remembers it. So she has like 4 question marks by that one.
Maybe focus on the blood of the psychics and see if there's anything more I can find on that from that point.
Not in her notes so much. Okay. But you do come across a reference on the good old internet that does talk about how the blood of those gifted with powers, I believe is how the kind of new agey website that you're reading it on, can hold great power and can do wondrous things. They mean it in a more spiritual sense rather than drawing symbols on the wall or spilling it out in the woods in a holy circle of some sort or unholy circle of some sort. And most of that stuff also talks about how the rules for those rituals can be found in various grimoires.
Grimoire, book. Any more reference to the grimoire or the book?
You go back to Haven's notes on that, and you come across something toward the end of the notes. This would be like maybe only a day or two before she disappeared. Her last or next to last uploads from her portable note-taking device, which I believe is a notebook and recordings. You get some of that in here too. There's audio files, but in it she says there's something. I've so forgotten Haven's voice. It was so long ago. It's strange. I met with the proprietor of the house today. I believe he may be the owner, although at first I thought that perhaps he was just the face of the house. But LC says that the house is, of course, absolutely haunted, and hardly any fakery is being done here whatsoever. And of course, he would say that, but it was weird. When he did, we were in his office next to the library, and he had on his desk this very ornate notebook and pen. And when we started talking about the hauntings of the house, he put those away. He slid them into his desk drawer, and I heard him lock it. Now, this was on an audio file.
Okay, listening to tapes.
And and of course you only found that like last night, so you haven't had a lot of time to go through it. Jacob, what are you doing now that you have really pulped this thing?
Of course, I give it a moment. So I stand over it, stare down at it, let that anger wash out of me for a second. I'm going to go back to the bed of my truck. I don't care about my rifle. I'm going to put my revolver back together.
Oh, that's not in the bed anymore. That's scattered around on the ground.
I've got to get that together then. But I'm going to watch this thing. I'm not going to cover it up yet. I'm gonna watch it while I collect my stuff.
Okay. I'd say that this is pretty pressury on you. How about some act under pressure?
All right, I shall act under the pressure as I can. That's what got me into this mess. Act under pressure, cool. All right, here we go. That is a 10.
Dang, rolling like fire tonight.
Lower leveling up for me.
There's been something apparently a little bit cathartic about this, as you were saying, and now that you have an actual physical enemy in front of you, you are calm, cool, and collected. You immediately just spot all of the parts to the gun that you need and just start popping stuff together.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's a little gritty.
I imagine I'm a little gritty.
Ew.
But no, that's completely right. Because for the first time, I have a way to act. I am no longer powerless.
So what is your ultimate plan here, Jacob? Are you going to go back to meet the others? Are you going to go to the police? What are you going to do?
My plan is, I'm guessing I'm not too far away from them, is after I get my gun together and I'm armed, I'm going to take the blanket, or whatever, the duffel bag is the sort of thing that I was using to lay all my guns out. I'm going to wrap this carcass up in that thing.
Pieces of it just slough off.
Oh, yeah, we're getting all of it. I can get all of it. Yeah, at this point, I could be a hacksaw murderer at this point.
It's gross.
Well, I can't make any sense of it. I know a certain doctor who can.
I'm just picturing, like, trying to put together, like, a bunch of melted silly putty, like, into a duffel bag.
Yeah, just scrape it.
Just, like, shoveling it in there.
I don't care if that I'm messy at this point. Just clean off some of the slop off of it. Yeah, I'm taking this to the dock.
So you throw that in the back of the truck and you head toward the theater.
Yeah.
And the apartments above.
Oh, and while I'm doing this, now suddenly everybody in this town is a suspect. Every single one of them is in on it. I'm going to drag this thing up those steps all slimy and sloppy.
It's very Jell-O-like at this point.
Ew.
He really drive up in that old car? I didn't imagine that, right? Man, maybe I should check that out before I go back. Just take a look around. He didn't have, well, if he had something in his pockets, it's part of the goo now. We'll figure that out later.
Investigate a mystery.
It's very odd that he had an old vehicle just suddenly here. That's an 8. What is being concealed here?
What you find in the car is a detritus of wrappers and Gatorade bottles and papers like various toll booth tickets and maps and things. A lot of them are from Texas.
What? Has this? I want to check through this thing. Has this thing been roaming around Texas, or has it been following me?
Ooh.
There's a bunch of receipts as well from gas stations. So in order to answer that question, and I'll include that in the what's being concealed here, you can check dates and things, and it looks like this being, if that was who was driving the car originally, anyway, arrived in Macon about 2 days ago.
Before me?
Before you.
Oh.
Oh, wow.
Let me get my little pocket knife out. I'm going to cut myself.
Testing yourself.
My madness is getting up to a point.
I think you've been bleeding before, and no one has said anything about it. So
this is true. Okay, fair enough.
Here is perhaps the most interesting thing that you notice, and probably nobody else would. Maybe Dr. Grace, but your detective's eye catches it. You see 2 different kinds of fast food in the car.
Mm-hmm.
With that going through your head, it's pretty easy for you to look around the vehicle and go, yeah, there were 2 people in this car.
Damn it. Damn it.
There's a knock at Dr. Grace's door. It wakes Dr. Grace up from her light nap, but of course LJ is already awake, but may have headphones on listening to the recordings of Haven.
Well, do I at that moment?
I don't know. Do you? There's no role for this. It's just what do you think is good for the narrative here?
It could be that LJ is just so into what he's reading that he doesn't notice.
The second knock is louder, though, and brings Dr. Grace completely out of her slumber, and also probably does get the attention of LJ at that point, because the recording just ended, at least the one that you had just found out that last bit of information from.
I sit up bolt upright in my little cot or whatever I've got, and I've got a .38 revolver that I'm pointing at the door.
Paranoid much?
Says the guy who's always paranoid. It's not paranoia when doppelgangers are actually after you.
Right.
LJ, did you hear that?
Yeah, but who could it be at this hour?
It's like 4 p.m, isn't it?
Hey, it's me. Open up.
Oh, thank God.
God, that dude.
Yeah, hurry up. It's freaky out here.
I'll scooch over into my wheelchair and wheel on over and open the door.
Jacob is standing there, looking a little rumpled.
You look terrible.
I feel terrible.
Jacob, what's going on?
Hey, Doc, I need to talk to you about something very, very important.
Very, very important, eh?
Super important. It's about this house.
Dr. Grace, roll a read a bad situation.
Read a bad situation is plus sharp. That's a 8.
Okay.
Yeah, 8.
Hold one.
I'm going to say, are there any dangers we haven't noticed? But with the caveat that Jacob doesn't seem like the kind of man to use the word very multiple times in a sentence.
There is that. There's also the fact that Jacob is also walking up the stairs behind Jacob with a sort of a blanket body bag over his shoulder. It's oozing, and he's covered in gore. Jacob, you see ahead of you at Grace's door, Grace in her wheelchair kind of blocking the way, but in front of her in the doorway is yet another you.
Oh, all right. I've got something for this I've been waiting to use. If I can do something. If I can act.
I'm going to let Grace go ahead and act first here because she did the are there any dangers we haven't noticed, and this is what she has seen, you coming up the stairs, this other you, very specifically, I mean, you're probably not like right in the doorway, Grace, but
yeah.
He's not passing over that line of salt and magnesium that you laid down.
I know Jacob is familiar with firearms. I'm going to let him hear me taking the safety off my revolver and say, why don't you explain more to me, Jacob?
We are here for the same reason.
I arch an eyebrow at him. Elaborate, please.
Jacob, you're coming up behind Jacob.
Oh, the madness. It doesn't stop. Yes. So I have a move I haven't used yet, but I'm gonna use it now, and it's called Never Again. And in combat, you can choose to protect someone without rolling, as if you had rolled a 10+, but you may not choose to suffer little harm. So I want to protect the doc from this thing, and I believe one of my options is all impending danger is now focused on you. I'm gonna listen here, you greasy son of a bitch. I'm going to cock that revolver.
Oh, yeah.
You turn to you, and the other you sees the oozing out of the blanket, sees kind of one dangly, Stretch Armstrong-y kind of arm flopped out of it, and he says, "What have you done?" And then he leaps at you.
Ooh, yeah. Let's do this.
Like almost lightning flash, his arm goes into full beast mode, and those claws are there, and he just swipes down across your face for 2 harm.
Yay! I have 2 armor.
But this does knock you down.
Okay.
I get to do moves on harm, even if they don't actually end up doing any harm. Things I haven't been doing in the previous 15 episodes of the show that we record. And I'm making you guys roll a lot tonight, but I want you to get extra experience. You're being borne backwards and down, Jacob. I need you to act under pressure to kind of redirect this so that you aren't flung down the stairs.
I'm dealing with a doppelganger, so I got the +1.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That is a 10. You do what you set out to. Yes. Cool under pressure. Finally. Fine.
Okay, so
Not fall down the
you
stairs.
kind of grab him back and you just slam him into the wall right next to the staircase, diverting both of your angles so that you don't go tumbling down the very steep staircase. That's definitely not a good staircase for those in wheelchairs.
Yeah, I know this.
That head now extends, becomes more bestial. That bottom jaw dislocates. Grace, you see all of this too. You see this Jacob that was in your door just leap at this other Jacob that came up the stairs. And now they're fighting there in the hallway, crashing against the walls. Pictures are falling down from previous theatrical productions here at the Macon Repertory Theater here.
Could I fire at the distending jaw version of Jacob, or is it too?
You could fire at either one of them you want to.
I think the one that's distending. And
do you see that as you're trying to get his attention away from Jacob, like in a protect someone, or are you just wanting to do harm, as in kick some ass?
I think just do harm, because his attention is away from me right now. I'm kind of thinking that I could potentially have some kind of advantage over him because he's not focused on me right now.
All right. You pull the trigger, and the first gunshot rings out. Who knew that it would be Dr. Grace that fired the first...
The first gunshot on the show? Okay, kick some ass. I was about to say I shouldn't have picked that one, but they're both tough, so it doesn't matter. It's a 7. It's 2 harm, close, reload, loud.
You fire. The sound of the gunshot is immensely loud here in the narrow hallway of the theater. Do you shoot that gun very often, Dr. Grace?
You know what? I don't think I do. I think I practice with it regularly, but shooting at a stationary target is not the same as, firing at a moving, presumably living thing that is entangled in combat with somebody that you know.
Yeah, so initially you don't know what happens here. They're rolling around against the wall, and you fire. Something dark splatters against the wall, but you're not quite sure because it's just, the targets at the shooting range don't move around like this, don't have a kind of a wet, meaty thump when you shoot them, don't squeal in agony like an echoey speared wild boar. And even so, the sound of the gunshot is both louder and not as loud as you expected, because on the shooting range you always wear ear protection, obviously. Safety first. And here you're not. So, yeah. The smell of cordite fills the hallway. That jaw has opened up, and it's coming for your head, Jacob.
I'm going to get right up in its bestial face and just roar at it as I shove my gun in its gut and just try to pull the trigger as much as I can.
This one changed a lot faster than the other one, and its muzzle, which is really the only thing you can call it, is far more distended than the other one was. The lower jaw wider and dropped down even further.
Yeah, I'm not going to back down. It wants to match me. I'm going to match it. I'm looking at my madness right now. And that is only 6 plus 3, so 9. Only a 9, not a 10. My hand cannon is 3 harm, close, and loud.
Boom! Your 357 goes off, and it's, just echoes in the hallway, but also kind of muffled as you have it pressed against the beast's stomach. It howls out, but then it just latches its maw around your skull and bites down, and you hear a crunching inside of your brain. 3 harm.
Okay, I'll take it. Oh God, this is the strangest catharsis yet.
LJ, what are you doing during all this?
How far away am I from the door?
The room that you're in, it's not a tiny room. It was used for storage at one point. The desk is a little ways away from the door, but nothing you couldn't, get to in a couple of strides. What you saw looking up from the desk where you had Dr. Grace's computer open is Dr. Grace wheel over to the door, Jacob standing there saying some weird stuff, and then turn and leap away from the door, and then Dr. Grace just materializes a gun from somewhere, a freaking gun, and just fires into the hallway, presumably at Jacob. You don't know. And then shortly followed by yet another gun shot from the hallway itself.
I'm going to take one of my moves, actually. What could go wrong? Whenever you charge into immediate danger, trying to protect Grace and find out what the problem is outside of the doorway, without hedging your bets, hold 2. I may spend my hold to inflict harm, reduce someone's harm, and or take +2 forward on an act under pressure roll.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
Yeah, it's a dope move. I actually took it for Grace from Gothic then because she seemed to do that a lot.
You have to get past Dr. Grace to get out into the hallway.
Yes.
I see this kind of as you sort of vaulting up onto the back of the wheelchair and launching off of one of the...
But what I was hoping to do was look for any kind of a weaponry on my way along. Is there something near to hand that I can possibly grab onto on the way?
My prosthetics are by the bed.
There you go.
I'm going to be the doppelganger down with your fake legs.
One of them may or may not transform into a power claw.
Excuse me?
That's actually so much better than the coat rack that I was going to give you.
All right.
So you grab one of these. What do your prosthetic legs look like, Dr. Grace?
I hadn't really pictured it. Probably a little more substantial than the the really cool ones you see nowadays that look like those like cool jumping stilts.
Yep.
They're probably a little more robust than that.
Like in Kingsman?
I haven't seen Kingsman in a while, but probably.
Yes.
Yeah. I think they're probably shaped like feet and ankles to fill out the hems of pant legs and stuff like that.
All right, LJ, you grab this leg, you go flying over the wheelchair, and you're just like, you've got this leg in your hand, and there's like cables and moving parts, and I just kind of want to see. I really want this to happen. I want you to accidentally activate the claw leg.
Yes.
So act under pressure.
You got it.
I think you're going to activate it no matter what, and then we'll just see what happens. But
oh my God, that's beautiful. That's a 12.
Yes.
Okay.
Woohoo!
So your goal here is to go out and just see what's going on and
that's with my take 2 forward. So
save the day. Yeah. Oh, that was with.
Yeah, I don't even need to use my take 2 forward because.
So is it take 2 forward or ongoing?
It says
because a forward has to be used on your next
without
roll.
hedging your bets. Hold 2.
Hold 2. Okay, so it's not. Yeah, so it isn't taking something forward.
So I'm going to actually hold on to that still because I got a 10.
Yeah, you don't have to use that. The hold is good as long as you are engaged in this activity. You get out into the hallway and you've got this leg in your hand, and you're just getting a good grip on it, and what you see is this sort of weird, mushy-looking thing. Its jaws clamped around Jacob's head, and suddenly the leg starts whirring in your hand. What does this look like, Grace?
So this is the one where the knee joint is included in the prosthetic, and I think that the bit above the knee joint becomes the handle, the ankle becomes the second joint, and then the foot just like splits into a lobster claw. And
this is terrifying.
Yeah.
Do you use this to reach high objects on the shelf?
Baby. Listen, I've become very good at standing on one leg. It's quite useful. And part of our thing was urban exploration, and there was some, wire fences that just got inconvenient.
Yeah, LJ, you find yourself holding by the handle this weird claw leg thing that you, I guess, smash down on.
Excellent. Anybody have any kind of idea of what kind of damage this thing does?
Why, yes, I do. It's 3 harm, hand, AP, I don't know what that means. Heavy, useful.
Armor piercing.
Oh, armor piercing. That's cool. Heavy, useful, unreliable.
Unreliable.
Shit.
Well, it automatically activated there practically.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I had some earlier models where I was standing on it and it just like telescoped out and tipped me over.
And I just also really like the idea of it being armor piercing, so that if you'd gotten a 6 or less LJ there,
I would have taken
and
the
hit
damage.
Jacob, and hit Jacob
Oh, no,
instead,
that would've
it could have
been
gone through his armor.
Oh my god. This is absolutely beautiful. Yeah, so at that point I'm like, yeah, let's kick some ass.
You just like swing down on this thing, and that's what you're doing, kicking some ass or protecting someone.
At that point, I'm at kick some ass.
My head's being eaten, and I'm screaming inside it as I pull the trigger. It's not painful screams, it's angry screams.
I almost just snorted wine out of my nose.
Hey, last time, didn't you? Oh no, I guess it was the episode
that was
before
the-
last. You
That was the episode
you spilled
before.
beer everywhere.
I was listening to that in the car on the way home, and I had to pull over and just like stop for a minute because I was laughing too hard.
It's a 7, but with my what could go wrong, it could be a +1 harm.
Yes, it could. You could do 4 harm.
And armor defeating, unreliable bullshit.
This is great.
But useful.
And you just... okay, so Jacob, here's what you see. Sort of, I mean, you're in the jaws of this thing and you're howling out your anger and your rage. And then suddenly the skull and everything, the cartilage all splits around you. And you see metal pass within like just centimeters of your head. The entire beastie just splits in half, half of it to either side, ribbons of gore stringing out from it, and then standing there splattered with green muck is LJ, panting, holding a leg claw.
You're welcome, dude.
I kind of want to say that's an episode.
That was amazing.
That's an
That was
episode.
incredible. That was so fun.
So we'll find out what happens from there on the next
Gothic
Podcast.
Oh my god.
You're welcome, dude.
The Gothic Podcast is produced by C. Patrick Nagel, with theme music by Zoe Hovland and cover artwork by Jared George Art. Listen to the Gothic Podcast on Podbean or wherever you get your podcasts. Follow the Gothic Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, or email us at thegothicpodcast@gmail.com. Support for the Gothic Podcast comes from you, our listeners, so please visit our Patreon page. Thanks.
What have you got there?
He doesn't have anything.
Oh, he doesn't?
Mm-mm.
Oh, shit. Oh, fuck. Oh, God. Oh, Jesus. Oh, God. Okay, Grace doesn't know this.